Nicholas Winding Refn is not only a director, a writer, a snappy dresser, fashion magnate, but he's also a lover and a collector of obscure, forgotten, some would think almost lost film. And for years he's been collecting and championing these types of kind of outsider films, you might call them, underground films, rural films, films made by filmmakers and in a outside of Hollywood, outside of the planet Earth, it seems like sometimes. Andy Milligan specifically, he bought all of the unfinished, unreleased Andy Milligan films from Andy Milligan biographer Jimmy McDonough. And he's been working throughout the years with getting these films out, with releasing them in some capacity. One specific film he started out with was a film which was thought as Forgotten Nest of the Cuckoo Birds. They found one print of that and restored that, and that started getting around. And the films that he's been working in some capacity to restore, they've shown up in various places. They were starting to show up on the online streaming website Mubi. But now Nicholas Winding Refn has actually released his own streaming website, ByNWR.com, ByNWR.com, not ByNWR.com. But though I did do a search, and ByNWR.com is still available. So whoever Refn himself or his cohorts who manage his streaming website, they might want to pick up ByNWR.com if Refn decides to release the Wakefield Pool films. He might want to go to ByNWR.com. But it is ByNWR.com, and it's a streaming platform, a streaming website. Unlike Netflix or Hulu or whatever the other websites, ByNWR.com is this small, curated, it's like the kind of the art museum of streaming websites. It's a very multimedia website full of streaming video and intros, and the navigation system it's a really kind of a beautiful website if you have a web browser that can support the multimedia experience. But the navigation is it's a little bit lacking right now. But lots of obscure films. Nest of the Cuckoo Birds is on that website. Shanty Tramp. Lots of different websites. Unlike other platforms, the films are divided into volumes. A volume with some kind of unifying theme with each volume. Within each volume, there are chapters, and one chapter is one movie, and then in addition to the chapters, inside the chapters, there's the movie, and then there are supporting essays and interviews which give you some insight into the film and the making of the film. Right now, as of November 2018, we're up to chapter 2, but very soon we'll have chapter 3 with all kinds of other interesting films. The easiest way to navigate the website is to click on the little hamburger menu in the upper right hand corner, and so that allows you to display in a sidebar menu all of the volumes, and then you can go through the volumes and click on the individual chapters, and you can see all of the movies in the individual chapters, and then you can go into the individual chapters and see all of the essays. So it's an interesting website. It's multiple levels of clicking and browsing, and there's the opening screen, which every volume has like this opening screen where little clips from the movies go across, and the interface I think is still being worked out, but it's an interesting website, full of movies which you've probably, maybe you've heard of something like A Night Tide, directed by Curtis Harrington, starring Dennis Hopper, which is kind of like a very moody ghost film in the style of like A Night of the Living Dead or Carnival of Souls, Shanty Tramps, the something weird video type of stuff. Exploitation, they've got a classic piece of exploitation from Estes Perkel. If footmen tire you, what will horses do? This kind of anti-communist Christian film, a weird movie, and Estes Perkel looks incredible in HD. These films are all remastered in high definition. They look crystal clear. They look like they were shot yesterday. They look really, really beautiful. If you're used to these types of films in VHS and DVD, watching them pop in HD is a real sight. One of the most recent films that they've released, put on the website, is a film which has kind of been gaining kind of speed within the past decade and a half or so. It's a film called Spring Night, Summer Night from 1967. A small film shot and set in southeast Ohio. And the film is an incredible film. The film has been talked about as a kind of a missing link between John Cassavetes' Shadows and Peter Bogdanovich's The Last Picture Show. And it is a moody, wonderful time capsule in a way of this rural kind of Appalachians, southeast Ohio, a little tiny town, Canaan, Ohio, and it's a look into the people and the times in the late '60s in this little town. The film focuses on a farm family in the town, and it centers on these two, a half brother and a half sister, Jessica and Carl. Carl is he's been described as kind of James Dean-esque, but he's more like Timothy Bottoms, Jeff Bridges, Bo Bridges more so. He's this kind of moody, wants to break away from the small town, and he has this relationship with his half sister, and so the whole film is about the kind of the fallout of that relationship, and the people within the town, and the mother and their father, who are kind of like a blended family. They have some kids from different marriages and everything, and their current dynamic where the mother now has her own friends, and the father is kind of he's all off on his own, and it's a wonderful little slice of life film. The director, Joseph L. Anderson, was the head of film at Ohio State University, so he was a film scholar. He had written a book, a scholarly work on Japanese film with Donald Ritchie. And so he was an authority on Japanese film, and obviously he is aware of the Italian neo-realist, the French New Wave, the Japanese New Wave, and he infuses this film, the story of a rural America, with these European New Wave sensibilities. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like a French New Wave filmmaker sat down in southeast Ohio in the late 60s and was like, I'm going to make a film. It's a beautiful, wonderful film. The subject matter of the film, of course, you could make a very salacious film out of it. It's kissing cousins, kissing brother and sister, really, in this case. And you could see a Dave Friedman or Herschel Gordon Lewis, coming down and making, a film kind of really exploitative. I mean, because it's a story of, Below Tobacco Road, a story of, perdition, in Below Tobacco Road, and the morality tales. I mean, that's what the Ruffy films were about. And that's really a lot of the films on the NWR website, the ByNWR website. They're black and white tales of morality plays, which is what the genre of Ruffy films in the 60s. There was these black and white films. They were called Ruffies. They were full of sex and violence and morality, but veiled as a kind of like a morality tale. And they often took place in little tiny rural towns and stuff. I mean, you know, Russ Meyer would like Mudhoney and Lorna, really more so Lorna, those type of films. And so this story would provide enough raw material to make that type of film. In fact, the film was released by a kind of a, you know, lower rate Joseph Brenner, who Joseph Brenner released some higher end films, but he took Spring Night, Summer Night, and he added some sex footage, he added some inserts, and renamed it Jessica is Pregnant, and it was out in the Grindhouse circuit. Jessica, this film, and that's a shame because the film really is it's a beautiful film. And I mean, when I say it's a beautiful film, I mean it's shot in black and white, and it has these beautiful pictures, and there's no real overt sex and violence. It's replaced with drama, where these actors are really incredible. And I mean, the Jessica and Carl, they're young actors. The mother and the father are really, there's you know, the father has his own little monologue scene where he's in a bar drinking. You get a window into his life. The mother is this woman who kind of went out and went to Los Angeles and kind of came back to the small town, and so there's all of these stories and the character dynamics, and this really weird, confused relationship between the Jessica and Carl, and it's told in such a genteel way. I mean, it really is just a beautiful story full of beautiful characters, where you see, you know, the passion and the anger, and it's realized by these incredible actors. Really, I mean, they're really good actors, and also the film moves. You know, the one thing with these Italian neo-realist films, these French New Wave films, is that sometimes they do kind of drag out a little bit. And I mean, this film, it is a drama, and it is you know, this small rural, you know, passion play drama type of film, but I wasn't bored throughout the film. I mean, there's just so many facets of this film which are interesting. The drama kept me involved, and really, one thing that really big facet of the film which kept me involved is that the film is like a time capsule of like 1967 in rural America, in rural Ohio. One of these, one aspect of these exploitation films, like the films of Herschel Gordon Lewis and Dave Friedman and the other, you know, filmmakers of the era, is that they were shooting in real people's houses on real locations, and you get to see, these films are almost like time capsules, in that you get to see the world in the way that it was in the late 60s and the early 70s, and you see their fashions, the way they lived, the layout of their houses, you know, the restaurants, the bars, the public places where people gathered. And it's interesting to see how people looked, and how much has changed, and yet how much has really stayed the same. Because there's parts of in the bar scenes of this film of Spring Night, Summer Night, where you go, wow, this looks really modern, especially when it's now, we're not looking at a grainy, messed up 16 millimeter dupe, you know, 9th generation VHS. We're looking at this crisp, clear, digital, high definition 1080p copy of the film, and it just, you can see everything, and it looks in some ways so modern. It really blows your mind, where it's like, man, this is like, I mean, like, this is like a window into the past, and it's like almost like a time machine. That's what some of these films are, you know, aside from, you know, and I mean, the Dave Friedman and the Herschel Gordon Lewis films, they're not really as well made as this film. I mean, this film was incredibly well made. It's made by a scholar of Japanese film, and he knows all the tricks of the new wave film filmmakers. He does a lot. He does this thing very frequently where he'll have a character, and maybe he'll be in in the foreground, and then he'll pan around, do like a 360 or a 180, either that or he'll kind of do a 180, come back, and the character will then be in the background, or he's in the background, then be in the foreground. So he'll do that thing where the camera is always moving, but the people within the frame are moving when they're not within range of the camera. So there's that interesting dynamic of movement and character, and it's as far as the technique, this is obviously made by a student of technique. It's a real unusually well-made film to be this obscure, because the film was, as I said, released by the Grindhouse, by Joseph Brenner, and fell into obscurity, lost. Then in the early 2000s, it was the original director's cut was revived and started showing up in film festivals, started showing up at New York Film Festival and other film festivals. I don't think it's released on home video right now. I don't think you can buy a Blu-ray or DVD of it. I did a quick search. I think the only way you can really watch it is by going to a film festival or by going to ByNWR.com and checking out, which is a shame, because I also saw online they did a screening of this film where there was a Q&A with everybody who is still alive, the people who made it who are still alive, and I hope, please tell me somebody videotaped that Q&A. Oh my God. And then but it would be really great to do a Blu-ray with, commentary track by, I think the director is still alive. I think Joseph L. Anderson is still alive, the cinematographer. There's an interview with the director of photography on ByNWR.com. So, I really wish that we could get these people together and videotape and do a commentary track and have a nice Blu-ray release. I think this film warrants it. It's such a beautiful, wonderful film. It doesn't have actors who went on to do. It doesn't have famous actors in the film. It's one of those films where you just look at it and, man, it just blows your mind how well made this film it is, and yet how it's just totally obscure and just nobody knows about. Such a wonderful, really great film. If you love drama, if you love moody John Cassavetes, Bogdanovich 70s film type of just drama, the personal relations between characters, a study in behavior, a study in a time, a place in a time, the late 60s, in rural Ohio, and the way people looked and the way people dressed and the way people moved and how it's changed and how it's still the same. Still in this modern era, there's things that haven't changed. It's just such a wonderful little slice of life that I hope people will check out and watch, and I hope will continue whose audience will continue to grow, because it really is a wonderful time capsule of a film, a period of time in the world, a period of time in filmmaking, and it's a really great film.
On behalf of the motion picture industry, welcome to the world of home video entertainment.